I am wearing my Good Vibes,
Then you should
which
definitely.
is actually
That's
a gift for someone gave my wife, but I confiscated it. Anyway,
I've
yes.
been
Now,
feeling good vibes for the last 24 hours. So.
yeah. So still, I think we can still say Happy New Year and for our sake and welcome and good to see faces. Hope everybody is well. And we have an agenda here. Everyone has somewhere in their inbox. So why don't we start with welcoming Kate. Kate, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Welcome, Kate.
Yeah. How do Amy or does anyone have a Kate, who are you? And we can tell you who we are briefly.
Yep, we've done that for the other committees. So I'll go around. Well, Ben, actually, can you see everybody, Ben?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, well then you go ahead and call people out, and now walk to Bridget in the waiting room.
So let's say your name and something environmental, an environmental interest or motivation or just to keep it on brand here. So Julie, you want to go first?
Hi, I'm Julie, and I think I just got a second term on the committee, and so I'm excited to be back and re-energized with the new spirit of rejoining Paris Climate, hooray. And, I just, interested in environment. I like being in the outdoors, I like gardening, and, what's more important than keeping our planet healthy? So that's my interest.
Right. Aaron?
Yeah. So I think this is my second term in the EAC. Something environmental. So I try to save gas by not driving to the barber to get my hair cut.
Good job.
And I'm helping the community garden in Huntington Park.
Nice. Happy. Hope it's a good gardening season when the ground thaws.
Yeah.
All right. Dave, what do you got behind the mask? The man in the mask. It's okay. You can keep it on. We should all be used to seeing.
David Egan. I also go by Michael, just to confuse people. And I think like most of the people, I really enjoy nature, outdoors, and gardening, things like that. But I would say like my biggest contribution probably to like environmental interests is just all the work that I do as a teacher with like my science clubs and like the science fair and things like that, and just mentoring the next generation and getting them interested in like actionable solutions to like the problems that we all face. So yeah, that's probably my thing that I would most identify with.
All right, Claire, you gotta unmute yourself and then say.
I'm a non-member, so
that's okay. You can still say hi. You're Claire. You're a legend.
I'm Claire, and I spent many years on. I find it interesting that you're going to change the name. It's been all sorts of things. I could give you a list of things that this committee's been called, so I'd go for it. I'm here tonight, and we'll under public participation bring up something. I think we have some recycling concerns, which is not as glamorous as solar panels, but is low-hanging fruit and something that I worked very hard on, many of you who know me, and that I have some concerns about in the direction that the city is being forced to do. I don't think the city wants to do it, and that we can come up with a solution to counter what's coming down from soccer. And I did not have time today to follow up on some soccer end of it, but we'll do that.
All right. Daniel, is that your Katuba? Virtual Katuba? Real Katuba? Except no substitutes. Good to see it on the wall. Mine somewhere. What do you got? What do you got for us?
Well, actually, Kate and I know each other. We're friends. So she needs no introduction. We'll just focus on that there Katuba for a
There
little
you go.
while. Let's hear it.
Printed on recycled parchment. So it's good. Okay. Tara.
Tara. Hey,
Tara.
I don't live in Huntington Woods. I work for DPW, so I'm part of helping answer questions about recycling, et cetera. But I love to garden and I love nature and I walk everywhere. So, I'm good that way. So, but I support what you all do. So I love to listen and help where I can.
Those are good things. All right, Mrs. Cooper. Is that like your substitute teacher name, Mary? Welcome.
Yeah, that's my substitute teacher name. Hi, I'm Mary Cooper, 35-year resident of Huntington Woods. This is my second round of being on the environmental board, and I've always been involved. Claire Claire knows me well, and was on the board when she was running it, and glad to be back on this one. So that's me.
Okay, Sarah Jo.
Hi, I am not a teacher, but like David, I try to spread the word to the youth and get them involved in any way I can and lead by example, and trying to make some big shifts in our house by reducing or actually eliminating single-use plastics. So my family is kind of bearing with me on that. We already pretty much do a lot, but the little things, they add up. So
Yeah.
happy to be here. I think this is my second term as well.
Very good. Very cool. I'm Ben. I'm a soccer enthusiast, and I maybe I have been. It's like Ticketmaster. If you want to go, you have to like sign on at just the right time to get a spot. That's 2 weeks from today or yesterday or something. So I've been still a bunch of times and have taken on the mantle of like taking other people's stuff there occasionally, which is it's fun. It's good. It's good to do in whatever way we can. So I think that's why we're all here, and we have some good stuff on our agenda. Let me go there.
Wait, you didn't ask Kate. You didn't ask Kate about her.
Oh, Kate. Oh my gosh, Kate. Yes. Kate, tell us who are you and what something green. Sorry, no. There we go.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. Excited to learn about the initiatives going on through this committee. This is my first meeting. I have a public health background, so a lot of environmental health, environmental toxins, and its relationship on health filters into my work. I work at Henry Ford downtown in Detroit, so a lot of my interests, other than my own environmentally friendly habits per se, really kind of intersect on the disproportionate impact on health related to our environment and the toxins around us.
And Kate, if I'm totally misremembering or miss something, we can just move right past it. But did your colleague, who I know through whatever other means, post something that there's some COVID or vaccine involvement in Henry Ford's international efforts, humanitarian health efforts?
You mean my involvement specifically?
You or your team or your health system or one of those?
Yeah, so I'm actually leading the 2 COVID-19 vaccine trials for Henry Ford, the phase 3 trials for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. So that has been very interesting. It's been very rewarding, but also just a very profound experience this past year. So we're at various stages in both trials. Obviously Moderna is now gone to market, so we're unblinding our participants. It was a placebo vaccine study, so 50% got a placebo, 50% got the vaccine. So right now we're vaccinating the placebo group, and hopefully we'll do the same soon for Johnson & Johnson, as long as their interim analysis shows the same efficacy.
I'm happy to volunteer now if need.
Right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the enrollment period is now closed, but actually we're starting another Johnson & Johnson trial a 2-dose one. So Johnson
Oh,
Johnson
great.
is the only
Yeah.
one so far that's only been 1 dose. Obviously they also want to see how it works with 2 doses. So we are starting enrollment for that soon, and I will keep you posted.
There you go.
Woohoo. I
So
just got
we're-
my Moderna yesterday.
Oh, congratulations. I
Yeah.
actually just got my 2nd dose of Pfizer today. Ironically, I got Pfizer
I was
instead
supposed
of
to get
Moderna.
Pfizer, but it was bait and switch. I showed up and then they're like, no, you got Moderna. And then they're like, we can't even reschedule you for your 2nd dose. I was like, great. Well, at least I got one.
Are the trials for Johnson Johnson, does it seem to be effective? I'm sure we're not recording this and I'm sure nobody will pass on it.
So actually
Buy stock.
the beauty of these studies is it's a double blind study.
Oh, okay.
So I
Yeah.
don't know what the participants got and they don't know what they got. So until the interim analysis, obviously all of our data goes directly to the sponsor. We really wouldn't know the efficacy. All we can say is, any sort of adverse events that we've seen in our participants, which haven't been much other than what you've seen with other vaccine candidates, soreness in the arm, maybe fatigue, a little like some body aches, the next day. But so that's really kind of all that we've seen. So I'm just as curious as you are.
Yeah. I will say my Russian colleagues are already getting the Sputnik vaccine. And this is like people in the provinces, and they are happy with it.
Yeah, so obviously Moderna and Pfizer are the mRNA vaccines. I don't know much about the Russian one, but I would probably guess it's not the mRNA.
Right. Anyway, I don't mean to hijack.
No, hey, we're very lucky to have you on the team here, Kate, and good to get some current context, so we can, if someone wants to move to approve or amend our November minutes, we can pick up there.
Amy, do you want to introduce yourself too?
Oh, sure. Yeah, Amy. Sorry.
Manager, been here since the flood, 2014.
Excellent. All right, minutes. Love them. Leave them. Looks like a motion from Aaron. All in favor? It's good.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay. Implicit seconding somewhere in there. Let's talk about food compost is our next. I will have to sort of leave or switch to my phone at 8 if we're still going then to do some carpooling. But let's just see where we get. Food compost media campaign, if we're going in order.
I can step in a little bit. I sent a couple JPEGs, but I have to admit I had hoped to do a couple more by now, or a few more by now, and I'm behind. I started them, but just have not finished them. So this month I will do that. And I know because we can't really compost right now, I think we were going to shift the focus a little bit to recycling. So I can work on that as well, but I also want to get some in queue so that when we get closer to April for the pickup, yard waste pickup, then we can have those ready to go as well. And we can kind of start, just basically like doing loops of them, because I think it's okay to reuse them. I know, Amy, you sent me a logo to incorporate, the city logo. If you do come across one that doesn't have a background, usually it might even be an Illustrator format, or like an ESP, or an AI format, or an I don't know, but JPEG's fine, but I can work with it. It's just easier if it doesn't have a background. But you guys can always send ideas my way if you have ideas or something that we should be covering. I'll take it.
Actually might be a good time to bring Claire in, talk about recycling. So just to give a little bit of background, people have been recycling a lot of cardboard, and not many of them have been breaking it down and making it easy for the recycling truck to pick up. So our recycling contractor has put us on notice that as of April 1st, if the recycling isn't folded and in a recycling cart, they're not going to pick it up. So we are working with them on some alternative arrangements. One of them would be to sell bigger carts to people so they could put more in. And then some sort of educational campaign that if you throw it out and you don't fold it or break it down, it's going to go into the landfill. But I know, Claire, why don't you tell us what has worked for you in the past? And
Does it, can I clarify, does it have to be in the bin or does it just have to be broken down sitting next to the bin?
according to the contract, it has to be in the cart. Now, we are
Oh.
trying to make arrangements with the contractor that if it's neatly stacked, that it's, they could just pick it up with one handful and put it into the cart. I can actually share some pictures with you of, in fact, I'll do that while Claire, you can bring people up to date on what we've done in the past.
I don't know if any of you were in the city when we did a separate truck that picked up cardboard. Cardboard's been an issue since from the beginning. Back when we had recycling bins, you had to fold it, tie it up, and et cetera. And so I coerced what then was Allied to run a separate truck around to just pick up cardboard. We did it as a pilot, and then my pilots don't go away. So we did it, we added a third truck. So we also had the problem, people throwing it out and it blew around and all of that. So at the time I introduced a program. I knew it was a problem. So we started Box Your Boxes, which we educated people. And for the most part, people started doing it. So that's one thing. Now, Tara and I had a little bit of a conversation, and I said, because, it doesn't make sense to me that if they aren't going to pick it up for recycling, which is using a packer truck, but they're going to pick up loose cardboard and throw it in the trash, excuse me, but that makes no sense at all. And Tara told me, well, they're going to start saying that if they won't pick up cardboard unless it's in bags, to which I said, really? So which is a whole different issue. But it seems to me that if they're going to make you bag your cardboard for trash, we can bag cardboard for recycling just as easily. Many of you know that, being the person I was, and we had overflow recycling, that I introduced the clear bags. And if we got to the point where you had to bag your cardboard, either for trash or for recycling, we could go back to offering, I generally gave them for free, but we could sell them back to people at cost. It wouldn't be, they're not that expensive. But I got clear bags that are just like garbage bags, but they're clear. So it's clear that they're recycling. And I think that could be an alternative. So my thing to you, and maybe Sarah Jo and I could get together, is that I don't want to put more roadblocks to recycling. And I don't want to see the city or SACRA go backwards. And there's a kind of push right now, and they're using COVID as an excuse, but it shouldn't be, that we need to continue to push recycling, because if people get out of the habit of recycling, they'll get out of the habit of recycling. And I remember days when I would drive down the street and the weather was really, really bad, and people didn't want to put two things at the curb. It was the recycling that was at the curb. People held their trash back a week, but they put their recycling out. So we've always had a high level of participation, but you can lose that really fast. So I would love to work with Sarah Jo, for example, and see what we can do and come up with. I was going to pursue some things with SACRA and see exactly where we are. Bob Z must be afraid of me because he hasn't called me back since I asked him what was going on. And he usually responds to me right away. But I'll follow up with Tringali as well, because I still know those people. But I'm interested in working with
I think the first approach should be awareness and education. I think part of the problem, I don't know, I can't speak 100% to it, but I think part of it might be that people don't realize that it has to go in the cart. I know I can see a lot of my neighbors when they put stuff out, they might break it down, but it's sitting, it's folded up next to the cart because the boxes are so big. Maybe they don't fit in one, or they just think my bin is full enough and I'd rather use it for the plastics or glass and leave the cardboard out. I think it's because of that pilot program that sticks in people's heads, then they don't realize when it's shut off.
Well, that was a very long time ago. Excuse me, let me.
Right.
Amy, were those pictures from Huntington Woods or?
And they were just the first 3 streets the DPW director went on, the first 3.
They were on
Well-
board.
Pardon me?
I know those houses. They're all
Yeah,
mostly on board.
I was gonna say, I hope but I think that too, like you see one person do it and you think it's okay,
That's what-
so then
yes.
everybody does it. And
For
so
sure.
It's just
They think
kind of
it's
like,
okay.
Mhm.
When I first moved here, which I know a lot of you have been here so long, you still think of that period as current. We were directed to put our recycling next to the recycling bin. I'm sorry, the cardboard next to the recycling bin.
Right, that's what
And
I'm
tie it up.
remembering.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
So that's why I do that. I still do that. I tie it up though. It also gives me quiet time outside without the kids when I enjoy it. I want to take that away.
Well, remember that when we had recycling bins, even though I had people that had 13 bins, there wasn't much space in a bin to put cardboard, and there were specifications, this size, this size, tie it up and put it next to your bin. Those were the instructions at the time.
So we have some old marketing to get rid of. So Sarah Jo is
or we
right.
need to cutting down a lot of cardboard. Smaller boxes are easy. When you get into the larger boxes, it's not an easy thing to do.
That's always been
I
my
think we
issue,
need to come
Yeah.
up with other alternatives.
because
So-
I have like furniture that I got and I
Yeah.
break it down, but my bin is always filled like every week. I put out more recycling every week than I do trash. And so
Mhm.
then if I have a box that's bigger than me, like I'm not going to be able to fit it into any kind of bin unless I cut it. So I
So-
don't know.
I want to be. This is definitely something that's we're lucky to have Claire as our tip of the spear with the contractors and can advise us, or we can advise. And we
Together.
should economize our time somewhat. I don't mean to cut us off here, but it sounds like we need to advocate or negotiate with the private contractor, and maybe I don't know how many years until the contract's up for renewal or what leverage. I mean, we want to make it work for them and make it make
Are they
sense.
doing this? Have they said this is a problem with other cities too? Or are they just kind
Yes.
of targeting us? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I think it's got to be just the cardboard and corrugated cardboard in particular, because we're all getting lots of stuff delivered instead of running around shopping for
Right,
it.
so this is what I'd like to do is we being Tara and I and the DPW director need to be on the same page with the contractor about how they're gonna pick it up and in what condition they're gonna pick it up. Box in a box or tied up or in a plastic bag. And then we will need to come back to the February and March EAC to talk about how to promote this campaign, because we have until April 1st to retrain people what to do with cardboard. Tara, am I got the right timeline in
Yes.
terms of April 1st?
April 1st, yes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I just looked at the email that you sent or that the city sent recently that talked about this, and it said it can't be bigger than 3 by 3. But I mean, 3 by 3 wouldn't really fit in the cart to begin with. And, one big box, even if it's sort of collapsed and folded, can fill up a big chunk of your big cart pretty bigly, pretty quickly. So I mean, it was Sarah, the idea of bagging it seems anathema or perverse. especially partly because it's just a petroleum product, another bag that is, and they're thick, right? I've the ones that I've gotten in the past for like office paper from DPW, they're like whatever mil, so like a lot of plastic. And it's not great when it gets to Sakura because the bags are potentially mess up the stuff that goes on the conveyor belts.
Not a problem.
So I would, if we can advocate for a common sense alternative to creating more trash for the sake of recycling, we should. But certainly we don't want to have it to any of this to have like a chilling effect on people doing. Although I feel like people in Huntington Woods are highly motivated recyclers. They just need to sort of know the game. Aaron, what's up?
Yeah, so would it help Amy and Tara if we kind of formally support an education drive? That is, we commit ourselves to kind of a formal education drive as kind of leverage for the city to push back on Tringali and say, not April, maybe in the future, but we'll commit ourselves to education if they will give us a little bit of flexibility or push the date back.
I think that if we could show them the progress we're making, yes, but if we can't show them that we're actually taking strides to mount an educational campaign, I'm not sure I would go along with it.
So one thing we could do, I mean, what I do that I shouldn't do, and doesn't need to be in the minutes, but like if I'm walking my dog and I see that people have put like a large amount of scrap metal or styrofoam at the curb to throw away, I'll like take it home and put it in my garage and take it to Sakura, which is not scalable or legal or whatever. But the reason I bring that up is what we could do is for people who are like enthusiastic but really messy or careless recyclers who just put tons of stuff out, we could like, and better I think from us than from the contractor, like put a little flyer or a little letter from your neighbors or from whoever that say like, here's what you need to do that you're not doing, that maybe people would have a positive desired response to. Claire?
Well, first, I mean, two things. I think box your boxes is probably the route to go, because I'm not for putting it in bags, but if they're going to start telling people they have to put it in bags for trash, that was my alternative. If you're going to say that, but it seems to me kind of ironic that they're saying April 1st, we're going to stop picking up for recycling, but we'll pick it up for trash after April 1st, which is basically what they're saying, because unless there's a public change for trash, it'll be picked up by the trash truck, which is a packer, which is going to use the same time. So to me, there's some issues there. And if they have some plan down the road for trash, then they better put it down together. Because literally, if they don't pick it up for recycling and it's out there and there are no rules for cardboard with trash, they're going to pick it up because that's in the contract. And let me take one other thing, because this is a thing that comes up all the time. The contract says that all metal, and I mean all metal, is to be picked up at the curb. Now, I know Sakura doesn't want larger metal inside of that cart, and I understand that. But by contract, they are required to pick up all metal, no matter what size, at the curb and recycle it. And as far as I know, there's been no change on that. So, and I've asked multiple times, because I've called when people have asked me and said, what should somebody do with X, Y, or Z? But it seems to me that we need to make sure that Tringali is following the contract and getting that metal. Whatever they want to do with it is their problem. But it does need to be picked up at the curb.
Is this like a concern of like increased volume because like everybody is getting packages and they just don't want to deal with that, or
Yeah.
because it's taking time? What is it? Or they just don't want to
Probably.
have that much stuff to deal with at the processing end of the, like, what?
Oh. It's a mess problem. And
What?
they're- And it's a mess problem and they're focusing on recycling instead of trash.
Okay.
David, are you talking about, is it an issue from the Tringale's point of view or from the
Yeah,
resident?
from their point of view, like, why are they singling this out? Is it like, do they have too much volume and they're just trying to cut down the volume, or?
No, it's the manpower. When you saw those pictures, they're having to separate out the trash from the cardboard.
Okay,
You want to be able to just, recycling is recycling, trash is trash, and not have to sort through things and split the pile apart into the two different trucks.
Is it that, or they have to make more trips? So like they have one bin when they recycle, and if there's stuff sitting next to the bin, then they have to.
No,
Well,
it's
I
all one
definitely
trip.
don't think we should expect the guys behind the truck to have to separate.
they shouldn't
You
have
know,
to sort it,
No,
that's for
they
sure.
shouldn't have
But
to sort
but
it.
if it is like, right, I think box full of broken down cardboard that is clear and next to the recycling that they can just toss in the truck to get,
Right.
And,
chomped down seems
Or even
pretty
like a
fair.
stack of broken down boxes.
well,
like-
and once upon a time, back when we had recycling London, that kind of, one of the major pushes was make sure that your recycling is separated from your trash. And if you could touch both of them, they're too close. So maybe another campaign is to say, if stuff is out there for recycling, you need to make it clear that it's recycling. And we suggested that people put their recycling on one side of their driveway and their trash on the other, so that it was clear to the drivers, this is recycling and this is trash. So maybe there's a companion piece to boxing your boxes, which is, you got to separate this stuff, guys, which is another education piece.
Okay. All right. So we've got our work cut out for us. Definitely, I think word of mouth and next door and something in the Herald, PDF Herald, and something, on social media people will get on, as long as it's clear what the wagon is that they're supposed to get on and the wheels aren't falling off, they'll, get on the. Bless you, Amy, and welcome Bridget, and meet Kate, and let's leave that in the interest of time, and we can keep up via email and whatever else we can do. Certainly, I would, speaking just for myself, happy to work on that off in between meetings. Should we move to solar? It's okay. This is our number 5 of our agenda, solar ordinance update. What do we got?
The last proposal we put together for the planning commission to consider, we were trying to address the aesthetic issue, and the West Bloomfield adopted an ordinance that said basically solar panels were permitted by right as long as they were as inconspicuous as possible on a roof. And the way West Bloomfield wasn't interpreting that was because solar panels are black, you could go on dark colored roofs by right, but if you had like a red shingled roof, it either was not permitted or you had to put one of those camouflage skins on it to make it as inconspicuous. So that those parameters are going to be discussed at the planning commission meeting this Monday. I've also invited a representative from Michigan Solar who can address those more technical questions that the planning commission has, like how big are batteries and when do they wear out, and those types of things that none of us are experts on. But I thought that the word inconspicuous is vague. So I did pull up some well, hold on. I don't see it. Let me see where my pictures were.
So
Actually,
I'm sorry, what is the current ruling on solar panels for Huntington Woods?
Aaron, you want to address that while I look for the pictures?
Maybe, I remember. It is not by right. So right now, is it that it is by right in the back and they're not permitted in the front? And is that right? Sorry, I should know this. And we're trying to get it so they're by right. That means that it doesn't need to go through the planning commission and can just, it just needs to go through, it just needs to get a permit. Is that right, Amy?
Yeah, right now you have to go to the planning commission.
Right.
And there has to be a reason why it can't go on the back of the house, but there's no criteria for them to determine when it can go on the front of the house. You know, there's no like, it can go on the front of a house if criteria A, B, and C are met. It's left up to their discretion.
And is there a high demand? What does that kind of looked like over the years?
Right now, the demand is sorry, Amy, that right now, as far as I can tell, there isn't a single house with solar. There was a household in the spring that tried to go before planning to get it on the front, and they were denied, not because it was basically because it didn't fit into the code as it was written at the time.
Yeah, the ordinance was so vague, they didn't know whether or not they should approve it or not.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
So here's black panels on a red roof, black on black, black on rust, dark colored one, dark colored one, dark colored one. This is actually the bank at Southfield Road and the freeway. So I wanted to get your thoughts on the ones that, you know, were we comfortable saying any color roof except red and rust, or brown, I guess it's brown, is a candidate for a solar panel?
Okay, basically the game or the tactical approach right now is like amend the language so that it's clearer and so that the planning commission sets it free, like gives up their jurisdiction over it, which is right now is not friendly to people considering it, you know, for combination of reasons, and into just like you would like a fence, right? Like if you pulling up a permit and paying $25 to get your fence permit. So that's where we're trying to get. And yes, aesthetics is where the planning commission is clutching their pearls a little bit, and we want to give them peace of mind that this is not going to become some crazy steampunk dystopia Mad Max scenario where everyone's got these like whirligig things off their roofs, because I don't see that happening. We just need to kind of get it in front of them where it doesn't get postponed another 6 months. So I mean,
I think I know how we can solve this.
Yeah.
So sorry to cut you off, Ben.
No, thank you for cutting me off.
Amy, so rather than trying to, I didn't know that the planning commission had a problem with the fact that it was too vague. So they were just like, well, it's vague, we don't know what to do with it. I was the one that rewrote it to be vague, because I thought, oh, if it's really vague, it's easy to get around. If you have a red roof, well, it's vague. You can say whatever. So if if that's the problem, then we just need to do what, I hate quoting this guy, but we can do what Antonin Scalia did on that famous Supreme Court argument. He knows porn when he sees it, as the saying goes. We know what a good solar panel is when we see it. These that you sent us are all really nice solar panels. The ones that I found are all nice solar panels. We know them when we see them. The steampunk analogy is great because steampunk is crazy. And anyone of a certain generation knows that that would be beyond the pale. So having pictured examples, maybe even references within the code, just to say like, this is similar to what we want, is a better example than saying red roof is okay, gray roof is okay, pink roof is okay. I mean, we don't care what the roof color is. We just don't want this. We don't want the solar panels to be horrifying, and they have to meet a certain grade of okayness. And that okayness is something, it's an aesthetic quality that's difficult to explain in something, in a technology that's brand new. It's changing, right? I mean, solar panels are right now, Tesla roofs are about to be okay. And it's possible that we could write this such that we might accidentally ban Tesla roofs in Huntington Woods. So I think trying to go write this for an aesthetic quality might be a smarter bet. And that would, to me, that means not writing anything at all, or trying to write as little as possible. And these pictures they do the job.
Well, the way the ordinance is, where the vagueness came in was with the current ordinance. It was, there were no standards for when they could approve solar panels on the front. That was the vagueness. So then we're trying to make it both clear. Well, first, take the planning commission out and just let solar panels be by right so that it doesn't go to the planning commission, but to give the building department some criteria of what panels will be allowed and which ones won't be allowed. And we went with the inconspicuous is okay, conspicuous is not okay, so that the planning commission would relinquish control of the solar ordinance and say, okay, we know we're in good hands. We're only going to see solar panels that are as inconspicuous as possible. Therefore, we don't need to weigh in on it. So
just to jump on that, or to dive in with respect to that language, and I think what we're looking at on the proposed ordinance is section C, C4. Amy, was that in the West Bloomfield ordinance?
yes.
And my concern is that if we want the commission to relinquish all control of that language inconspicuous, is subjective, and it is not a black and white. And I think that they could, if somebody really had an objection, the commission could come in and say, I don't think that's inconspicuous. And
well, I have a question. If we're using language like inconspicuous, how that would mean that every planned solar panel installation would have to go through the commission to be determined inconspicuous or not. I don't know how.
No,
I don't know.
That's the point. The point is to leave it up to the discretion of the building official.
Right. I would just, maybe because I just put a fence in, and I'm like, if we can get it to fence, to like fence treatment, which fences affect neighbors and aesthetics, and we say you can have a fence in this part of your yard, this tall, this opacity by right, and if you want something greater than that, you need your neighbor's blessing, or you need a ZBA, whatever. It seemed like I don't know.
Solar panels aren't inconspicuous.
Is there such a risk that someone's gonna like put a clashing color of solar panel on the front facing part of their house?
Well, if it would save them money from not having to put a new roof on, they definitely would. And the question I'm wondering, if we use pictures, right? Is that something that can even be used in an ordinance? And you can give these are the examples we will accept without any kind of planning review. And those that fall into this group of pictures or close to this group of pictures have to go to the planning commission. I've never heard of an ordinance where we have like an example like that. And I'm just wondering, can we do something like that, Amy?
Kind of agreeing too. I almost want to take the aesthetic. I know that's the concern, but can we take it out of it and approach it a different way? Because if we include it in there, it's always going to be subjective to whoever is looking at it. Could we instead say it's by right as long as you have the approval of neighbors, something like that, like we do with chickens? Back is always by right, front is by right, as long as you get the sign off of those people around you, which most people would. Is there a way to take it out? Because I feel like without that, we're always going to be subject to the style consideration of whoever is evaluating it.
I mean, I think that one of the things that we had originally put in there, there are some measurable items in there, you can't, it cannot extend so far above, that the frames have to be the same color, but in keeping with Bridget is saying, a visual that is going to be something that is always going to vary by people. For me, that number one picture is perfectly acceptable, but I don't think that that is inconspicuous because it is a direct contrast. And I think that in order to avoid all of these arguments, we should take that that section out and see what happens with the commission and see if they would be willing to go that way.
But that was the whole reason. That was one of the reasons why we were rewriting this, is because the original ordinance is too vague, and it's like anything that's going to go to the front of the house has to go to the planning commission. How does that get us out of that?
But we could use a form-based code. I don't like bringing it up because I wouldn't be able to write it, but I'm sure Amy could speak to it more. Part of the Huntington Woods plan is written as a form-based code. I think we've talked about it before, actually, on this committee. But I think the historic district of Huntington Woods is written as a form-based code, and that's, in layman's terms, it's like a bunch of pictures define what you can and cannot do to your house. And this is what we'd be doing.
Mary, going back to your other concern, I think that if we struck section 4, there is no vagueness there. It just eliminates that particular provision.
Amy, can you put the sorry, Julie, can you put the language on the share screen just so we're looking at it?
I don't know if I can do that. Amy can.
Or Amy can. Yeah, sorry, could Amy? I was apologizing for interrupting, which
yeah, let me find it.
It's C4, and so C is labeled standards, and it set forth 8, 10 different standards, 12 different standards, and number 4 is the one that I do believe has the the most, and I would consider that ambiguous. And the one insertion that does add vagueness and ambiguity to the provisions. And if you simply struck that, the one below it, frames is number 5. Frame shall be the same color as the collector's service. All panels shall have an anti-reflective coating. That is very straightforward and unambiguous. Very little for interpreting from different people. Number 4, I think sort of Amy started off saying inconspicuous is vague. It can be treated.
I did not say inconspicuous was vague.
Okay.
I tried to give examples
of okay, so ambiguous. It can be subject to various interpretations, I think. And I certainly don't think that number 1 would fit within that category.
Can I ask a question of the committee? I've seen some roofs that look horrible with the brick. We don't make people go to the planning commission. because to tell us what kind of brick they're gonna put on what kind of roofing they're gonna put on their roof. We just let them do it, and if it looks horrible, we just say, well, they're stupid people, and what can you do about it? The historic district is a different issue,
Sure.
but everywhere else, we just tell people, do whatever roof you want. Solar panels have a purpose, they have a function. It is, you know, I don't know that the city should get involved in deciding what is aesthetically pleasing and not, when we don't do it for everything. And nobody, if you went to the planning commission and say, well, why don't you make people come in and show you the color of their roofing before and see if it goes with their brick, they would laugh you out of the room. You're just, solar panels are new, and new people react against.
And Claire, I would just go back to my recall of the commission meeting, the planning commission meeting that was one of the first ones or the last ones that they had. And there were, in fact, several of the commissioners that were making that very same argument, that they did not want to be in the business of making judgments as to the aesthetics. There was one or two of the commissioners that had brought that issue up, but I recall that there were it seemed to me a majority who did not want to be in that, and that it was really a matter of right. And again, that it was some people may be uncomfortable because it's new. But you know, there's other people that, you know, there's some of these pictures that we drive by them all the time. We don't even notice it anymore.
So we could solve this problem in the simplest way. Do we have the solar ordinance have one line in it? All solar panels in Huntington Woods must have anti-reflective coating on it. Problem solved.
Yeah,
I mean, that one is good because it's the panels and they're, you know, as opposed to trying to match it to the roof, to match it to the brick, to match it to the shingles, right? It's
what am I wearing today? Does my solar panel match it?
Well, the best example that the couple that wanted to do it, they likened it to gutters. And like, if you look at old houses, there are no gutters. And when people start putting gutters on, they looked like crazy, you know, veins or, you know, things sticking. And now you don't notice them when you look at a house, like, right, there they are.
But yeah, I would kind of agree with that, because aesthetic for today, that might mean something very different in 10, 15, 20 years.
Exactly.
And this could just be the norm. This could just be what we see. Like, that's a great example, Ben, gutters. Like, I see them on houses. Are they the most pleasing thing to look at? Probably not, but we've all just accepted that as houses have gutters on it. And it's not gonna dissuade you from purchasing a house because you see a gutter on the side of it, but maybe that was an argument at one point in time.
But the reason that we were actually fighting to change the ordinance to be to allow solar panels on the front of houses was that people objected to them at the front of a house, not because they were aesthetically unpleasing. It was because the glare from the solar panels was going into the windows of the homes across the street and next door. And so the idea of simply what Daniel suggested is just breaking it down to that one line would resolve the reason for having to go to the planning commission in the first place for front-facing solar panels, which was essentially light glaring into somebody else's home across the street.
Yeah, I would agree. One line, and it needs to have the anti-reflective thing on it. I think, you know, if we start limiting solar panels, we very well could get very behind the curve. Just moving forward of, you know, and of course, as Claire mentioned, they serve a huge purpose, you know, and this is probably something that could be very appealing to future home buyers, you know, that these solar panels are on there, and, you know, reduce their electricity bills, and, you know, kind of moving towards the wave of the future.
All right, so if I can summarize this so that we can make a decision, because we are meeting with the Planning Commission this Monday. They have been presented with this ordinance. If I'm hearing most of you correctly, somebody needs to stand up at the planning commission meeting and say, actually, we talked about this Thursday night. We have a new ordinance to propose, and that is that there not be any regulations other than the anti-glare, and that they be permitted on the front, back side of the house, no matter what the roof looks like, by right, and not going to the planning commission. Is that right?
I just want to qualify, okay, so going back to standards, there are C, which is section C, I'm looking at the language. There were some things that were included in there that were specifically requested by the commission in that meeting. And one of them was C3, roof-mounted solar energy devices shall not project vertically above the peak of the roof to which it is attached, or project vertically more than 3 feet above a flat roof installation. My position is that you can include some of these standards that are measurable. My objection is to number 4, because it is not measurable. It's just so anti-reflective coating is number 5. I think that should stay in there. I think the roof, the projecting too high above the peak of the roof, I think that's fine. So
present this ordinance to the planning commission, but tell them that the EAC wants to strike 4, and you're comfortable with everything else, and then see what their reaction is to the proposal.
Wait a minute.
And 5. We should strike 4 and 5.
Are you talking about E and E?
5 has 2 things in it. 5 has the anti-reflective and the same colors the collector surface. So to me, the same color, that's neither here nor there. I would be fine with getting rid of that as well.
I think I'm looking at an old version. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm absolutely confused which version of the ordinance.
Can you not see my screen?
No.
The
No.
ordinance is not on the screen?
You can see the houses, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gosh, I've had this ordinance up here. Let me see.
They're lovely houses.
I am sorry. Very sorry.
You're just trying to keep us guessing, Amy. It's
Just have to change what you're sharing.
I'm sorry. There we go.
Oh my.
So this is where Julie's suggesting that 4 just be eliminated, 5, but everything else stay in. They're permitted in all zones. They can be on any building. They can't be too high off the roof. Needs to be a.
Can you make it a little bigger? Sorry.
You can make it bigger, Kate.
Oh, I'm on my phone. Let me see.
So,
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Amy, we presented this version to the planning right in the fall. Is that right? Or was it the old one from October?
I think this was the October one, but it's since been redlined here
Okay.
based on the West Bloomfield ordinance.
Okay. So, look, I agree with everything that's been said here, emphatically. And, however, we met a lot of resistance from the Planning Commission. And I think we need to be a little bit more flexible. I think history will be on our side, right? But right now we need to get this thing through. The only thing I would kind of fight for us to change is this word inconspicuous. The rest of the stuff, if it's already been presented to planning, I think we should not change it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the tactically just getting planning to relinquish it and without anything that we would, conspicuously, unambiguously regret, but that, once it's into like Hank's world and people can say, hey, Hank, is this okay? And I'll say, oh yeah, okay, that's okay. And then they do it and it's great. Like that, I think I think that, and if we get a narrow majority who support this, we don't need a consensus from the planning commission. There's definitely a couple of people on there who are a little stodgier about this and the aesthetic imaginary scenario where this is bad for property values or something. But I'd say whatever we think can thread the needle well enough based on the fact that they already have a version of this to get it through at the next meeting, hopefully, and then kind of get on with encouraging people to actually do it.
Amy, could we, for point 4, present day point 4, could we say roof mounted solar energy devices shall be permitted on a face roofing? Well, then we wouldn't even need to say that. We could actually just take out point 4. So I was just going through the, the solar panel lobbies suggestions on ordinances, and they said never use the word inconspicuous, and even all of these other things about color and contrast also leave too much room open for interpretation. So, I mean, I guess my question to you is, do we need to address aesthetics?
I think you do, based on your prior conversations with them.
I think if we leave out anything aesthetic, then we're not gonna get filibustered, but we might get some, kicking of the can or resistance. I think giving them that the solar panels match themselves with the border and the panel part and the anti-reflective, to me seems fine. It seems like we can give that up. It's the issue that the solar panel is never going to perfectly match the roof underneath it, that we don't want to create some scenario where it is objectionable because it isn't precise tonally, chromatically.
Ben, I agree with you, but I think, comrades, we are rolling the dice on this one.
Comrades. Well, isn't that the nature of everything we do? It sounds like we're kind of spinning circles here.
Yeah, I agree.
Why don't we, as we move toward bedtime for my mice, why don't we move toward it? We know we can't make an aesthetic argument. We all seem to agree on that. We should make number 4 as it stands: roof mounted solar energy devices. Blah, 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 blah. Oh,
That's it.
Weird.
I mean, Daniel, I like the idea of striking 4 completely out. And if the planning commission wants to deal with aesthetics, then let them create their own language that they understand and that they can live with. And that would be, I think, all we need to say to them is that we don't want to give them the problem of having to deal with aesthetics. And if they want to, they're going to have to come up with the language, throw it right back at them.
Well,
and
they're not our
and
enemy.
it's language, and they have to, in that scenario, to the extent that I really do think that they don't want to own solar panels, at least some majority of them, that, language that they aren't going to be the ones that adjudicate on a case-by-case basis, that if they were to write it, they would write it and they would approve it, or the city commission would approve it, and then it would be done by city employees and not by boards and
Right.
Deputies.
Ben, I'm not understanding, like, if we tell them our goal is to simply make it easy to put front-facing solar panels, and the major objection within the community at the time the first ordinance was written was that there was glare from the panels into the windows of homes in the neighborhood. And our solution to that is to say anti-glare, anti-reflection. Basically, that's it. If they want to start talking about how nice it's going to look or how unnice it's going to look, that's their responsibility. Our job is to get as many solar panels into the city as possible, right? And our job is to make it easy for people to do that. If they want to add the hurdle for the residents, they have to come up with language that they can live with and know how to adjudicate with these, with Hank, and also have people have to apply to make them make decisions. I don't think we can think that. I don't think we can do that for them.
So I agree with everything that Mary has said. And additionally, at this point, I don't think that there's a huge risk in going forward with the ordinance with number 4 eliminated. You know, we could just give it to them, see if they will pass it. And if there are objections, then we do exactly what Mary says, is ask them for some other suggestions. And we may find that there's support for the ordinance as it is without that language that is potentially very problematic for the Planning Commission.
So should we then, Julie, I just want to, do we have agreement then to strike 4 completely out? And then move forward with a discussion next Monday on how we're going to present removing it. It was just to make their lives easier so that they don't have to decide what looks nice and what doesn't look nice. That if they feel they have to do that, that's language they need to suggest.
I would just wanted to add one other thing, which is, and I feel comfortable going forward at this point, because I don't think that there's a huge rush for anybody to install solar panels right now. So that if it takes a little bit longer, maybe another month to get language that is acceptable to them, it's fine. But I don't think anybody's in the waiting in the wings for this to be passed. And I don't know, maybe we need to have a motion or take a vote at this point. I think I've expressed what I think we should do, but I don't know that we've had everybody speak at this point either.
Well, I would make a motion to strike section 4 from the ordinance.
I would second that.
Do we want to take a vote? I mean, we do this so rarely.
I know.
Yes, we vote.
I'm for it.
Okay, all in favor of striking the current section 4 for what we ultimately present and advocate for to the Planning Commission next week, say aye.
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 I
I'm abstaining. I support it in principle, but in practice, I think it's more strategic to have something in there. But that's cool. I will go with the majority, obviously.
I have an
just to
idea to
Aaron's
help you,
point,
Aaron.
Like, I think Aaron, like, just if you give them some sort of a bone, then it's easier for them to give up control, because then they're not thinking that they're losing something, and then chaos is going to ensue. And the point is to get it off of their plate, regardless of how that's done. And Hank's not going to be looking at it like, oh, I think that that's like chartreuse, and it's not going to be flowing with the vibe. You know, he's just going to be like, electrical's good, roof is good. You know, boom, approved. So. That's
Okay.
the only reason why I think, you know, it's worth considering in our particular situation, because people are like real serious. Like there's the Hardy board haters, and if you guys have been in some of those commissions and had to go through it, it gets intense in there. They're like,
To be the spokesperson for the EAC Monday night.
who?
Who? I want to be able to hand the discussion off to the EAC, somebody to the EAC.
What time
Well,
is it at?
Hmm?
What time is it at?
It starts at 7, but there's a couple of site plan reviews first, so probably won't get underway. I'm guessing 7:30. This
Ooh.
discussion.
Are any of the site plans from that company? I'm just trying to think if it should be like 7:05 or 7:45.
McKenna?
Yeah, but no, but seriously, I'm planning on being there, but the more people who could come, the better.
Yeah, last time I got booted out, the Zoom thing just failed. So
I've been to the last couple.
so
Who's going? I can't go. Sorry.
you know, since I'm the one that's got the big mouth, I'm happy to stand up and talk about removing 4 and trying to make their lives easier by not making an aesthetic call on the ordinance. But you know, that's if I can get in.
I just don't want it to backfire, guys.
Well, that's language they need to write for themselves. We don't really know what they're up against with the residents.
Amy, what did you think about my form-based code idea?
Well, yeah, you could put pictures in to show what is acceptable and what's not, but now you're back to making judgment.
Look, if we're going to, well, first of all, Amy, there's going to be someone speaking about solar panels from the industry, right? And they're going to go
Oh,
first.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Julie's out. I don't know if they have a presentation as much as I asked them to be there to answer the more
Okay.
technical questions.
Okay. If we want to remove 4, that's cool, and then have it in the back pocket, which is basically Amy's idea at the beginning, which is to not allow solar panels of contrasting colors from the roof. That's what I would propose rather than the inconspicuous, just because that's kind of all over the place. Even the idea of not having contrasting colors adds a little bit of interpretation. But I mean, I think
Solar panels are all black.
yes,
And
as
that's
you
that.
said, that would leave out roofs that are red or brown.
Light colored.
Or
Right.
gray.
And that's the
Well-
part that I don't like about having to talk about roof colors, because then you're basically telling somebody get a whole brand new roof just to do a solar panel.
Right.
Did they talk about the skins though, Amy? The
That
skins?
skins are not in the ordinance that West Bloomfield has, but their planning department is interpreting that to mean if somebody did get a camouflage skin put on, that would be acceptable because it's no longer conspicuous.
Conspicuous, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we're gonna kill Amy if we don't wrap this up soon.
Yes. Yeah. Or put her to bed.
Amy, I will tell the planning commission I will set up an LLC. I will name a small business Huntington Woods Solar Panels LLC, and I will write a form-based code just for this.
Okay.
And then that'll be my only time writing a stupid code.
So I think the planning commission agenda goes out tomorrow, so I'm gonna try to snag the memo from the agenda and rewrite it without section 4, so there won't need to be a discussion about, well, we pulled this, unless somebody remembers, like last November, I think I sent it to everybody.
They're not gonna remember.
Okay.
I think
They're
that's
not
I think that's the plan.
Not unless
I
they
think
got
that's
a copy
actionable.
of it they're not gonna remember.
Okay, well then let me try to rewrite the memo and the proposed ordinance, striking section 4, and then we can go into the planning commission presenting that revised ordinance and see what their feedback is.
Sounds good.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. But I mean, that's great. Is there kind of a general consensus that if there is a lot of pushback, that we would be okay with the idea of kind of the contrasting colors, of not allowing contrasting colors?
Without like a camouflage?
And I guess the camouflage would take care of the contrast.
Right.
Exactly. So if they
Right, I
bring
would
that
offer
up,
that.
Okay.
then we can say like, okay, because then you're dealing with specifics
Right.
Okay.
and kind of like,
I think that works. And the other thing is that that has to be their call. We can't object to them trying to deal with the aesthetics that will keep property values at a certain level. They know that better than we do. It has nothing to do with environmental concerns, and that should really be their call, not ours. We can certainly remind them that there are skins available to make things more palatable to the neighbors.
Mrs.
All right.
Cooper, well said.
I will work on that first thing tomorrow so that the the most recent draft of the ordinance goes to the planning commission for discussion on Monday. And can we move changing name of the committee to February?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a
oh,
good
let's
idea.
do that right now. I'm all fired up.
All right.
All right. Are we, I'm now at doing dance class pickup, so I'm gonna mute myself and let we can wrap it here, or any last words? Speak now or see you Monday.
All right, well, we could move through this pretty quickly. The public participation, Claire, did you have anything to add on any other topics?
Sorry.
No.
Claire.
No, all right. The next meeting is February the 18th, and then the last item would be any committee member remarks on any miscellaneous items that we haven't discussed.
Everybody looks great.
That's silence to my ears. Thank you, everybody. All right, well, Kate, you came at a great time. This is a very robust discussion for our little committee.
Yeah, it was great. Can't wait for the next one.
Hey, did I send you the link to the planning commission meeting? You might not have been on the committee when I sent that out. Did you get
The
that?
one for Monday?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have it.
okay, good, okay.
The ID who is going to be speaking for EAC?
I think Aaron volunteered, didn't he?
Oh,
Oh, no, Mary, I'm sorry, Mary.
No,
did.
that was
Mary.
Aaron and Mary. They're gonna be co-chairs, and then I'll play the sidelines and jump in if it gets frisky.
really, the more people who are there,
Yeah.
the better, who can just, even if you say one or two words, it shows kind of the power of the public, and it's very easy to say no to one or two people. It becomes much harder to say it to 4 or 5. So even if you can jump in for 10 or 15 minutes, that would really be great.
Will do.
And the meeting is at 7.
It starts at 7. You might just want to log in and put yourself on mute and turn your camera off, because they're going to do 2 residential site plan reviews first.
Okay,
So the discussion is not going to start at the beginning.
okay.
Site plan reviews, God in heaven.
All right, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Good night, guys.
Bye. Have a
Great.
good night.
Night.